Hey guys, this is another video, and in this one I will be showing you easier auth config. So I've read the official doc and I found out you don't have to get your environment variables this way. Now we're gonna delete all this. Alright, the next step is to change your environment variables names into auth underscore GitHub ID and auth underscore GitHub secret. You can find the example.env file from the repo in the description. Now next, this step is purely optional. I'm gonna delete all this and then put everything on this file. Now we're gonna create a new Prisma client instance. Then we're gonna set Prisma database adapter. And I'm not gonna use database for this session, so I'm gonna set setter strategy to JWT. And max age means how long will it take for the session to expire. So I'm going to set it to 5 for 5 seconds. Now let's create our custom pages. I'm only going to use sign in and sign out page. And now we have to create our login and logout pages based on Next.js app router. Now inside the app/login folder, I'm going to create a page.tsx file. Then I'm going to create a React functional component. Alright, it took us to the login page, but it has a callback URL. And now we're going to have to update our links. And if now we go back and hit sign in, it takes us to the login page without any callback URLs. Alright, now we're going to add the sign in buttons. Now I'm going to create a button and add a on-click function. So we're going to call the sign in function. This is going to be a getup button, and callback URL is going to be our home page. Alright, we're getting an error. I forgot to use the use client directive since we're using button on click function. Alright, now the login button is working, but the sign out button takes us to a logout page that still doesn't exist yet. Alright, let's create our logout page. It's gonna be logout/page.tsx. Then I'm gonna create a React functional component. Now let's import the sign out function. Then we're gonna call the sign out function on the button on click. And again we have to use the use client directive. And then we're going to set the user to the home page. And now if we hit logout, we can see we're not logged in anymore. Now the user should be logged in for only 5 seconds because we set the max age to 5 seconds. Alright, so let's now make sure the user stays logged in for at least 24 hours. Alright, now I'm going to use daisyUI to style our pages. And I'm going to copy the pnpm command. Alright, now that it's installed, I'm going to copy this. And paste it over here. Alright, I've added all these classes to make it look a little bit better, but it's completely optional. As you can see, it looks much better. Alright, now for the sign out page. As you can see, it looks much better than before, and they still work like before. Alright, now I will show you how to protect your sensitive routes from unauthorized users. Alright, now I'm going to create an admin route, then create a React functional component. We're not signed in. Alright, so how do we protect this route? So we're going to have to create a middleware.ts file. Alright, let's create our middleware function, and it's going to be an async function. Now we have to check if user has the access token. Alright, if access token doesn't exist, then we're going to redirect them to the login page. And if they has the access token, then we're going to let them access the protected route. And let's tell it to protect the admin routes and everything else inside. Alright, it doesn't work. Alright, I forgot to await the JWT token. Now if you hit refresh, it redirects us to the login page. Alright, now I will show you how to fetch the data using Prisma. Alright, I've created this file in the last video. You don't actually have to understand this, but we are creating a global variable to store the Prisma instance. And we're basically doing this to prevent too many database connections because of Next.js hot reload feature. Now we're going to fetch all the users from the database. So we're going to type await Prisma user.findMenu, and then select ID, name, email, and also the image. Alright, now we're going to loop through all the users. Now as you can see, we can see the user data and the image. Now this is fetching from the database and not the auth session. Right, now I'm going to use Next.js's built-in image component, and then we're going to have to import it. Go to your Next config and then add all those image patterns. Alright, now it's telling us to set the width property on our image component. Alright, I've set width and height to 40, and now they are gone. Alright guys, I've tweaked the UI a little bit more. You can find all the code in the GitHub repository. I'll leave a link in the description below. Alright guys, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.